Good morning, everybody. I toast to you and all you do. Hope you're having a fantastic morning. Today I want to talk about two things. One, I just found this new channel. Crap, I'm so bad with names. I added one of her videos to the introspective journey. So go look at the list that I have. It's on there. It was a very good video. I enjoyed watching it this morning. Anyway, so I was watching this video and it brought up a really good point and something that I hadn't talked about the whole time that we've been doing this, because I keep saying make a journal entry. So as a general rule of thumb, I most definitely recommend using a journal. Keeping a journal is a really good practice. It could be your book of shadows. It could be part of your book of shadows. It could be a journal. I don't know if I showed my book of shadows. I think I did. It's crazy. And it's got journal entries, and it's got book of shadows entries, and it's got this and that and everything in between. And it's written in all different directions, and it's definitely a crazy representation of the crazy going on in my brain. But it's not like a formal, I write today's date, and then I write my entry. That's not what it is. Sometimes my journal entries are just on random pieces of paper. Like I have a ton of spiral notebooks that I keep everywhere, and I'll just make an entry. And it's funny because I'll pick up a journal, and I'll look in it, and I'll be like, or a spiral notebook, and I'll be like, hey, look. I found this journal entry, or I found this article, or I found a story, I found some research, whatever it was I was doing, and they just all get collected and put together, and important pages get kept and whatnot, and but it's definitely not like a formal journal. My neighbor's fire alarm is going off. I don't know if they're home. There's no smoke coming out of the house. It's pretty obnoxious. Anyways, I don't know if you can hear it. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Maybe I'll have to call the fire department over there. Anyways, it's kind of weird. Anyway, so back to the journaling. So the throughout this whole time, I keep saying make a journal entry, make a journal entry, make a journal entry, and maybe journaling isn't what you do. I know a lot of people who don't journal. Even for me going through this and doing this, I've done this 5 years in a row now. And I don't always make journal entries. Most of the time I just spend some time that day meditating on this thought. If it's super pertinent, I'll write it down. If it's something that really needs to get out, I'll write it down. But for the most part, I do a meditation and I kind of work through it in my brain. And then I write it down in my internal journal. Which isn't probably the most accurate way to do it, I'm not going to lie, but that's just the way that it works for me. And there's a lot of things that I just keep in my brain. And if it's super important, I'll write it down, or like I said, if it's something that needs to get it out, I'll write it down, or if I feel really driven to write it down, I'll write it down. But I don't want people to be deterred from doing the introspective journey because, like, oh, I don't keep a journal, so I can't do that. That's not what it's about. That's just one part of it. The journal is really nice because I can look back at what I did last year and say, okay, so here's the things that I pondered last year. Here's the things that I learned last year. I will make a journal entry like at the end, closer to Yule, that's like, here is all of the things that I've kind of learned. Here's what I've worked on. Here's what I've reflected on. Here's what I need to work on. Here are the feelings that I need to deal with, those kind of things. But it's definitely, again, it's not that formal journal entry. So don't feel like that's what you have to do. If you're a journal person, then write a journal entry every day and detail it and do all of that. Make a book of shadows entry. Make a whatever. Do a meditation. However it works for you. But the thing is to get your brain working and thinking and diving deeper into yourself and really reflecting and maybe doing a little shadow work or maybe doing a little healing, which kind of go there hand in hand. But doing the things that you need to do in order to help you heal and grow and become a stronger, better person through this cycle. And that's the overall goal. So it doesn't have to be writing a journal. I'm going to keep saying write a journal because that's the best way to keep it organized and to communicate that. So if your journal is you meditating, then meditate. If your journal is you making a beautifully decorated pictograph of what you went through, then do that, because that's what you need to do for your practice. Because again, this is for you. I chose the word journal because that is universal and everybody, I think, can work with that. And then so whatever your journal is, maybe your journal is just in your brain and you meditate, and that's great. Do that. So don't be deterred because of this, that, or the other. Okay. So with that said, let's move on to today's topic. I need some more coffee. Okay. So toast. Oh, it's still warm. It's very nice. All right. So maybe it's not a fire alarm. I wonder what it is. I don't know if you guys can hear the beeping. It's very distracting for me. But if I don't make the video now, it won't happen because I gotta go do homeschooling. Hooray! Okay, so today I want to talk about anger. Yesterday we talked about sadness. Today I want to talk about anger. So for a really long time, I guess let's go back to the beginning. Anger is one of those things that, again, like sadness, we're not really taught how to deal with, I think, as children. When you're a child and you get angry and you throw a tantrum, or you hit somebody, or you act out aggressively because you're angry, you're taught that's bad. And just like with the crying and sadness, because the physical representation of the emotion and the emotion often go really hand in hand, I think that a lot of kids get the mixed message. Well, if I can't be angry and I can't show my anger, like if I can't show my anger, then I can't be angry. And then on the other hand, you get those kids that are just allowed to act out like that, and so then they grow older and then they just continue to act out in anger, and because we don't learn how to deal with it. And because of that, for me personally, when I started reading Scott Cunningham books and getting into Wicca and doing the whole light and love and healing and all of that stuff, I got to this weird place where I was like, well, you're not allowed to have anger. I had divided the emotions into good and bad emotions, good and evil. And anger was on the evil side, and that had to go over there, and it was not a productive energy, and it just was yucky, and you weren't allowed to be angry. And that's not really productive, not productive at all. Anger is a valid emotion. Anger is something that we have in order to help us, again, grow and heal and deal with our environment. And often anger is about making things right. And so your anger should help motivate you to do what is right. Now, there's the tricky line. So, what makes you angry? Is the things that are making you angry, is it like, well, these people are picking on me, these people aren't doing what I want, they're not letting me control? Is control what's making you angry? Is that what's just stirring your anger? And you have to really think about what's motivating your anger. To be angry at the child molester is completely legit. To be angry at the abusers, and to be angry at the people who are hurting people, or to be angry at the Nazis, to be angry at racism, to be angry at all of these things, these are productive angers. This is anger that helps motivate you to stand up and say, hey, that's not right. To stand up and make a change, to stand up and say, we need to make something better. Even if it's just for yourself, like, hey, you can't treat me that way, and this is making me angry, so I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to stand up for myself. It's a protective mechanism. You get angry. I mean, you think back to our ancestors. They got angry when their relative got eaten by a bear, and they were like, I'm going to go get that bear. And it is one of those animalistic, internal, because again, this is about survival and doing, what you need to do in order to survive and grow. So what is stirring your anger? We live in a modern society, in a modern world where we don't have bears and we're not running for our life in that way. We have modern challenges and new challenges and stresses. And which one of those things is making you angry, and where is all of this anger coming from? Like I said, I got to that point where I was like, oh, you can't have any anger, it's bad, and I did everything that I possibly could to be like, okay, this makes me angry, why is this making me angry, what do I need to do about it, like, I shouldn't be angry, and really looking at it from like this weird analytical, only use it to be productive, but never actually express anger, which was weird. Because one, I'm a really loud vocal person who has a lot to say and is really known to run my mouth and talk a lot, especially in my younger years. So as I got older and this changed and I transitioned from that into, I think I hear a child. I was in like this weird place, but then it was funny because I had a very close friend who was doing the exact opposite. She had grown up not being able to express emotions or say anything or whatever. So as a grown up, she was like, I'm going to express all my emotions. And for her, the extreme opposite, it was a good learning experience. So I learned a lot. And about using your anger productively, and that when something makes you mad, you have the right to say something, but you do need to think about what's making you angry. So my challenge for you today is to sit down and think about what is making you angry. What little things make you angry? What makes you frustrated? What are you getting mad at? Are you getting mad every day? Is there really something that you need to get mad at every day? A great example for me was with my children. Like, there are just some things that really drive me crazy, and I just, And then one day I sometimes just have to remind myself, like, they are their own people, and I cannot control them, period. And so I even tell them, I'm like, who is in control of you? And it reinforces it for me, it reinforces it for them, it reinforces it for everybody that they are the ones that need to be making these choices, and that I can't make them. And I can't be mad about that because they are their own people. And so you just have to stop and think, what is making you angry? What is so upsetting that you have to hold on to that anger? What is it building? And what are you doing with it? Anger can be productive. If you're using that anger to express your feelings and then do something about it, if you're using that anger to save the whales, or you're using the anger to, save whatever and do the right thing or help people or help yourself or whatever it is, then that anger is productive and you're using it how you should be using it. But are you using it to come home and break things? Are you using it to be abusive towards other people? Are you using it to be abusive towards yourself? Are you dwelling and stirring and stewing and getting so angry and just holding on to that towards you're spewing with these anger? Where do you sit with all of this anger, and how are you dealing with it? And is there a more productive way? It was not productive for me to be like, no, you can't have any anger, you can't be mad at all, and I was like judgy of other people. How dare you be angry? You can't. That's a petty thing. Like, no, that's silly. Anger is productive. Anger helps you deal with things. And it's just another part of who you are. So, again, like I said, let's journal. Or meditate, or think about, or ponder, or talk to somebody, whatever you need to do. But think about what makes you angry, and what you do with that anger. So, I can hear the children tapping on windows and opening doors. They're like ready for school, right? I'm going to go in there and they're going to be like, Mom, we're ready. Let's sit down and do school. No, they were like, Mom's working. Hurry, go play. Anyways, so good morning, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic day. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and tell me what your thoughts are and what you ponder and how you deal with it and all that stuff. I love talking to other people. I had a great lady or person make a comment about not dealing with the sadness before bed, and I didn't even think about that. For me, to think about sadness first thing in the morning would have prolonged that feeling throughout the day, and then I would have had this like consuming sadness all day, and it would have made it a very counterproductive day. But I deal with things better while I'm sleeping, which is great for me because then I don't have to deal with it. No, I'm just kidding. But before I'm going to bed and stuff like that is a great time for me to process. So dealing with that at night was like, okay, and then I can go to sleep and my brain kind of does work through it. But I'm not prone to nightmares. Um, so for those who are prone to nightmares, I wouldn't deal with those emotions right before bed. Same with this anger. Don't do this before you go to bed. Do it in the morning or during lunchtime or before you get in the shower or in the shower. Like while you're cleansing, you're like, okay, so that's a good time to meditate about it. But you have to find a time that works right for you. And when I made the video last night, I didn't even think about, oh, there are people who aren't going to be able to do this before bed. But that's right, you can't. So maybe you should watch it in the morning and then fit, just a time that's better for you. And remember, all of these things should be made specific to you because it's you. So, many toasts to you. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope to hear from you. And yeah, many blessings.